Perfect. I like it. I love it. I love it, Michael. Man, we got the okay. What camera I'm on? Make sure I'm on the right camera. Hold on. Is my view change? Did my view change?
No, I'm seeing you with FIK, failure is knowledge, in top left. Yeah, no, that's right there. There you go. Yeah, right there.
Okay. Do you see the FaceTime? The FaceTime one?
No, no, I don't see a FaceTime.
What do you
There's
see
split.
now?
I see split screen.
Okay. There we go.
Let me. Are we live?
We recording.
Okay. Let
But
me let me shut up. Let me turn off this light real quick. Okay.
okay. Hey, I'm about to do a podcast. I'm gonna call you back. No, we about to do a podcast right now. You all right? Yeah. Take a picture and send it to me. All right. Okay. So I think this is better now. Wait, what just happened?
It's it switched back to one screen.
Okay, here we go. Add right. Two screen now?
Yeah. No. Well, I see two of you.
You see two of me?
Yeah, I see both. I see you're on
Oh.
both sides.
Okay, hello. Let me okay. Okay, nope, not that one. Still two with me? Wait, where you just go? Oh, I pressed the wrong button. My bad. My bad. Okay. Uh nope. Guess in the green room. Why you in the green room? Um I don't know how to add you to the let I add you.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh. There you go.
There you go. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
cool.
I'm on the wrong camera. Okay. We're gonna figure this out, Michael. Oh, swipe clear.
There
Okay.
you go.
Okay. Swipe clearance.
So I'm happy to be your guinea pig, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
The technology, it is crazy. This software is actually amazing.
Yeah. Why did you switch up? What were you using before this?
I was using StreamYard.
Oh, okay. So you can't use Zoom or anything like that?
I can,
Mhm.
but I think this one is a lot better. I think this one is a
Oh,
lot
okay.
better. This software is like incredible.
Is this paid or is it free?
It's paid. It's $49.99.
A month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
It has a lot of different. You can stream on 10 different platforms, and then you can like it's a lot. I don't know how to describe. I'm looking at everything. It is a lot. It is a lot.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
So
Good
if
point.
you want to start a podcast, get Ecamm.
All right, cool. I don't know if honestly, I don't know if I want to start a podcast or, I mean, I really don't. And like social media, I'm like, I don't really want, I mean, because when you go to social media and podcasts and all that, it's great, um, to put yourself out there, But me, I don't really want to be put out there. I don't want to put myself out there. I want to build what I'm building, but I don't really want, any kind of recognition, or I don't want, a lot of people to know who I am. You know what I mean? It's not, to me, that's not like, not part of what I'm trying to accomplish. I know and it's hard because when you look at like, okay, if you want to be successful in business, like especially real estate, you can't be a secret agent, right? You can't be a secret agent, but so you have to network, you have to know people, you have to build your base. But to me, I'm like, I just I don't know. I don't want like, yeah, like you being a politician. You're a politician. Everybody knows who you are. I don't want that. I don't want everybody to know what. You know, I just want to build my empire and just fly under the radar. That's all I want to do.
Man, you said that perfect. You because it's a lot. It is, man. Listen, this is just one thing that I'm working on. That you know what I mean. You was able to see it. It's really confusing. Well, and it's
Yeah.
not confusing. It's so much to intake. If you're not really practicing and learning how to understand it, that's when it becomes overwhelming. So I understand exactly where you're coming from because flying underneath the radar is actually good. But like you just mentioned, you don't want to be a secret agent. You know what I mean?
But I started a wholesaling business,
Okay.
a real estate wholesaling business, and I started the business about 2 months ago, and I'm closing in on my first deal. I haven't got the first deal yet, but I feel like I'm closing in. I actually went to take a look at a property today. And so, if I can make this work for me, and I feel like it is, I'm going to be successful at it. I don't have to worry about being, a real estate agent, and I don't have to worry about, building a base and, putting myself out there. It's more of just like, I mean, I've got people making cold calls for me, and then all I got to do is deal directly with the homeowner, the seller, and then work with the buyer, and that's pretty much like my involvement. I don't have to go out and build a client base like a traditional real estate agent, put myself out there and all that. That's not what I'm trying to do. I feel more of like I like to be like more of like a Dr. Dre,
Okay.
where people know who he is, but you never see him in public, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. That's more of like where I want to be.
That was a great comparison. So, okay, when it started, we have started. I'm glad we started that way because a lot of times people see the success but don't understand what it takes to get there, right? So, and it's really special that you agreed to do the podcast with me, to do the conversation with me because you have so much wisdom, you have so much knowledge, and oftentimes we don't think we can gain that knowledge as wisdom as people that's on the outside in. So, Michael, man, I do want to appreciate you for coming. I do want to show my gratitude for your time. You know what I mean? So we gonna we already dove in the beginning. So who are you? What you doing? Where you from?
Well, don't thank me for my time. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always nice to talk to you. I really admire who you are. What you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. I see, all the success of the world coming to you. So let me say that first of all. I'm from LA, born and raised in LA. Um, I, I grew up in the ghetto. My family was on welfare. Went through the struggle of growing up with not much, and having to work hard and start from the bottom, work hard to actually become something. I mean, I was actually just watching a video a minute ago. It was Steve Harvey talking about Michael Jordan, and he said that Michael Jordan took about 950 game-winning shots, but only made about 145 of them. But nobody talks about the 700 and 67 or 757 shots that he missed, but they talk about the 143 they made,
Mm-hmm.
right? My numbers probably don't add up correctly, but that's not the point, right? The point is that you're going to miss many shots in your life, but it's not about it's not about the number of shots that you miss. It's about the number of shots that you make, right? So in success, I mean, in life, your success doesn't depend on how many times you lose. It all depends on you just not giving up. Basically, that's the point, right? Just never give up. And I'll tell you, I have failed so many times in my life, not just in business but life in general. you know and the thing is that when you don't give up, you just keep trying and trying and trying. You're going to make it. That perseverance is going to pay off. And I think that's the key. One of the things that I didn't know as a young man was that I was going to fail so many times. I didn't know that, and every time I failed, I looked down on myself, and I gave up so many times because I failed, and I just thought I'm never going to make it. But now as a man, and you can see some knowledge right inside here,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
That means something right there. That means something. But with the wisdom and experience of life, what you understand is that failures are going to happen. It's inevitable. You're going to fail, but you just don't give up. You continue trying, and if you don't give up, you're going to succeed. And I mean that you look at it like this. I think about how many times I failed or quit in my life, and now I don't quit. I've had my real estate license for 4 years now,
Hmm.
and haven't closed the deal. But I haven't gave up. And like I said a couple minutes ago, I feel like I'm closing in on my first wholesaling deal, right? And whether this one becomes a deal or not, I'm still not going to give up. I'm going to continue moving forward, and eventually, it's going to happen.
Hmm.
I mean, I look at it like this. You also look at Colonel Sanders of KFC. He didn't sell his recipe till he was what, 65 years old?
Hmm.
The mid to late 60s, I think it was, somewhere in the 60s. And
I
he
think
tried,
was it was it 60 or 70s?
maybe 70s, but I mean, you still look. I mean, you still look at 60s or 70s, right? I mean, still, you look. I mean, the story goes that he received what, 1,000 no's
Mm.
and never gave up until he finally got that yes. Somebody wanted to buy his recipe, and look where it's at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perseverance, perseverance. So
And
yeah, I grew. Go ahead.
my apologies. I'm sorry. I just cut you off.
No, it's all good. I grew up in LA. I failed. I quit, and all the trials and tribulations and the failures and the quitting. It all taught me, what I know today, which is just don't quit, work hard, have faith in God, or I mean, whatever you believe in, you got to have some kind of faith to continue pushing on. You know what I mean? And eventually you're going to succeed.
Mm. Excuse me. I like how you just described you had your license for 4 years, but you haven't closed not one deal. But you still pushing on. Yes, Michael Jordan's story is phenomenal. No, that is incredible. I love how you use that example. But when you just told yours, that made it even more impactful. Because oftentimes we see the success, but we don't see what you have to go through in order to get here today. 4 years is a long time not to close a deal. When I started back in August of 2020, it took me 18 months just to close one deal. And it closed right before I made my mind up to even stop doing real estate. But when it closed, I didn't believe it because it took me so long. I didn't become the person that I needed to become in order to close more deals. 4 years is a lot of wisdom, it's a lot of knowledge, it's a lot of failures, a lot of hard times that you really have to go through, but you never quit. Where does this drive come from?
I mean, there's a what just well, I don't know how the saying goes, but it's more more successful people come from uh, poverty,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard. And so I think that's what it was. I mean, that the story I recall as a child is, um, I was with a group of friends and they were all on bikes and skateboards, and I was the only one running along with them because
Mm-hmm.
my parents couldn't afford a bike and couldn't afford a skateboard. And so that day, I said, I'm never going to put my kids through this. My kids will never be that one that doesn't have a skateboard and doesn't have a bike. Because I dealt with it myself. My kids will never deal with that. And so All the things that I dealt with as a child, I'm at. I didn't have much. It just said, I said, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to get something in life. There's enough out there for everybody and I'm going to get my piece.
Mm.
The drive comes from, the struggle as a kid, it just opened my eyes to, I don't want to live this life and I don't want my kids to live this life, you know?
Hmm. I had to write that down. Excuse me. So when I was looking down and I was right, I had to write that down. Successful people comes from poverty. That's because we understand what we've been through. And oftentimes it's us dealing with that and recognizing why we're here, why what has happened, what can we do to change our lives for the better. And it's that's different. That's different, Michael. That is really special that you recognize that, because the man you are today is not because of today. The man you are today is because of your past and everything that you've been through, your failures, your lessons, the way you grew up, the way you had to learn, the way you had to adapt, the way you had to learn how to be a man.
Yeah.
How were you able? I apologize. I just cut you off.
No, no, you know what? It's me. I'm cutting you off. I
No, you
apologize. Go
good.
finish your question. That's one thing I'm trying to work on because I do that a lot, and I'm trying to work on that. Go ahead and finish your question. I apologize, Terrell.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I feel like you was about to say something powerful.
I probably was, but I don't. I think the thing is like, I think wait, and one thing is I'm not good at remembering the sayings, but I get the point of the sayings, right? So
Mm.
the saying, one of the things I remember hearing too is that wealth creates comfort, and comfort creates I don't it's not poverty, but it's somewhere along those lines, and that's the cycle, right? So poverty creates what do you say, motivation,
Uh-huh.
which creates success,
Mm-hmm.
which creates wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and the cycle goes back to, you know I don't know the steps between it, but it goes back to poverty, right? It goes back to okay, so now you get comfortable, and then so it's like it's the generational thing, and I think that was the thing. I was like, I'm not gonna live this life. I'm not gonna. I've seen everybody. Most of the people that I see growing up struggle to pay their bills, and I always thought I'm not gonna struggle to pay my bills. I'm gonna
Mm.
make sure that my bills are paid, and then I have money to go out and have a good time and enjoy myself. You know, I remember I was 15 years old and I told somebody that I said I'm not going to live this life forever. I see people struggling to pay their bills, and it's like that's all they can live for is just to pay their bills. I said I'm not gonna live that life. I don't want to live that life.
15 years old and you still remember what you said? And you
I
still
remember I remember who I said it to. I remember the exact way I said it. I remember exactly where I was at. I remember my age. I remember very vividly saying that.
where did that memory come from? Like, how do you remember that one specific day, specific time for the rest of your life? You know what I mean?
I think it was a declaration. That was a declaration that I stood by. I felt it. I felt it deep inside my heart, and it was a declaration that I made, and I outspoke it. And so I
Mm.
think that's why I remember it so vividly. I'll never forget it.
That what I've learned is that it's always in us. The person that we are today has always been the person that we have grew into. But it's really recognizing why we this person. I was on the phone with my coach, the coach that had coached me in middle school. He was like, man, Terry, every time you just see you, he was like, man, you just smiling. You just smiling. He was like, man, I was starting to think something was wrong with you.
You can't always be happy. That's not the truth.
That's what he said. He was like, why is he always happy? But he told me, he was like, he learned from me how to accept things and really control what you can control. Because oftentimes when things are happening, we get in our feelings because we are out of control. But I've been this person, but I didn't know why I was this person until I became a man, became more aware.
Exactly. Totally agree.
How
But I
did
think that's the thing is it's all a matter of perspective, and
mm,
I think everybody has their own belief system. I think I've found my belief system, and I've learned to have faith in the unknown, and so I think that's what nowadays keeps me going, even though things aren't always going the way I planned them to go, the way I thought they were going to go. It's what keeps me from quitting, because having faith, it's the ability to continue moving on, though you don't know the outcome. Right, so you keep that faith. Okay, I'm going to continue doing this. It's going to get it's foggy. It's not clear where I'm going or what's going to happen, but I know where I'm trying to get, and I know my actions, what I'm trying to accomplish through my actions, and my faith is what keeps me going.
mm. And that's how you're able to persevere through hard times when the times is not going your way.
Yeah, it's through faith, and I'll tell you that I read the Bible. I'll drop to my knees and I'll pray, and it's just and that's all faith. I mean, everybody has to have their way of staying mentally strong, and that's my way of doing it. You know.
Hmm. And that's what helps. That's what separates people from a lot. We just lose faith within the journey. The journey is not gonna go your way. Absolutely, it's not gonna go your way 100% of the time. But it's preparing you to be the person to accept what is about to come to you. You had to start at 15, but yeah, how old are you now? If you mind me
um
asking.
43.
43. You had the thought at 15. And the thought is still ingrained and it's buried in your mind at the age of 43. The only thing that has changed is time and the way you have developed within yourself.
The funny thing is that I feel that faith is very important, and
Mhm.
it's like you said, things aren't always clear, and the path to success isn't always a straight line. I mean, it, people don't see the struggle, but as you're going through, you're trying to be successful, you're trying to accomplish a goal. um, I wish I had an easel board, but a lot of people think it's okay. You're going to start here, and hold on, let me see. There you go. There you go. You're going to start here, and your success is a straight line, which is going to be here. But this is your beginning point. This is success. But that line, but to get from your beginning to your goal, isn't going to be a straight line. It's going to go like this, and you're going to go through all these hoops and all these winding roads till you get to success,
Mm.
right? But that's the thing, is that while you're going through all these hoops and winding roads, you got to keep your faith. You've got to stay mentally strong and just don't give up. Keep going.
As easy as that sounds, it's not that simple. you
But you've
gotta
got to
you gotta
you've got to
put
live
forth
it.
the effort.
You've got to live it. No, you've got to live it. You've got to live it. I think that's the biggest thing. And like I said, I can continue pointing to these white hairs, and it's the wisdom. And the reason that I am now who I am is because I lived it. You know,
Hmm.
I've I've failed and failed and failed and failed, and tried to accomplish things and failed, and tried to accomplish things and failed. And after going through it, I see you know all the things I'm talking about, all the things that I've experienced in life, and all the things that I'm telling you, like such as the beginning point, the end point, and all the curvy roads and everything, are things that I saw, and I understand it now. When I see it, I understand it now, and I say, yes, that's totally true. I lived it, so I understand it. As a young man, before I had all the knowledge, all the wisdom, I didn't get it. When I heard that thing, I said, I don't understand. I just didn't hit me. It just didn't hit home. But now that I've been through all of it, and I understand the winding roads that go between, the starting point and your goal, it's just a part of being successful and accomplishing that goal. So I mean, I look at like, I mean, I have, there's just, I, I starting off being on welfare to growing up and actually, accomplishing things in life. It wasn't a straight it wasn't a straight line.
Mm,
There were bumpy roads, and and everything else I had to go through.
mm. And the man you are today is because of what you had to go through. And it's so special that you recognizing this because you understand what you needed to learn in order to be the person you are today. What was that one thing that registered to you that you heard when you was younger, but it registered to you when you got older? What was that one thing?
She's there's just so much. I mean, I think everything that I heard, everything that I was told as a young man, it it, it stuck with me, and I heard a lot of things from people that I admired, and when I heard a lot of things from people that I admired, I held to it. Though I didn't understand it, I held to it. And after I've actually experienced it and been through it, it came to light. It's okay, it's true. But just the people that I admire, they give me advice, and they tell me things, or even the self help books. I've read so many books. The first book that I read that really really changed my life was Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And
Oh, I have
that book. Do you have that? Do you have that
I have
book?
that one, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it.
That's a good book. That book changed my that I'm not I as a child I've always been I like to consider myself intelligent, but as a child I wasn't too worried about education. I wasn't reading books. I didn't care about going to school, and so when I think I was about 21, one of the managers at the company that I worked for, he, great guy, just gave me so much knowledge in life, not just about how to handle myself on the job and how to perform the job, but how to be a man, and how to be successful in life. I really thank God that he put that gentleman in my life as my mentor, and that guy just took me under his wing and taught me a whole lot. And the things that he told me, the thing that would be that I would have to say is the first time that somebody actually took me under their wing and taught me something, and it just stood with me for the rest of my life. Still with me for the rest of my life, and that changed my life. He recommended that book to me, and he actually read it with me. Me and him read it together, and then we'd have discussions about it, and that book just changed my life. It just changed my life.
Mm.
Yeah.
And,
Okay, let me say, okay, wait. To answer your question, there's one thing that somebody told me. Okay, and I think I was about 17, 18 years old, and this one guy told me. He said he was a counselor. I was in Job Corps, and he was a counselor, and I told him I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm going home. I was there for only like a week. He said I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm going home. He said, um, he said you're a quitter, and if you continue on the path of quitting, you're going to do it for the rest of your life. It's much easier to quit than it is to continue on to try to succeed. So that's one thing. I remember that. And that's one thing that just stuck with me. It stuck with me. When he said that, I still quit. I quit Job Corps. I still quit. I still quit Job Corps. I said, I don't care. I don't want to be here. I quit Job Corps. But that stuck with me for the rest of my life. That he said if you quit, you're a quitter. He said you're a quitter, and if you quit now, you're going to continue quitting for the rest of your life. And I thought about that. I still quit Job Corps, but still, it stuck with me for the rest of my life. I still, till this day, I say, you know what? It's much easier to quit than it is to continue on and try to succeed.
and that's where that drive came from. That one statement that you didn't understand, but it resonated with you for so long. And now this is the person that you are, the man that you are today because of your resiliency of not quitting.
Exactly, exactly. And
Mm.
that's where I mentioned the mentor that I had. The manager took me under his wing. One of the things that he told me is the second time that I've heard this, because the first time was this guy who said, it's easy to quit, and if you quit now, you're going to be a quitter for the rest of your life. The manager that took me under his wing. He said you need to dedicate yourself to something. He said you need to dedicate yourself to something, and if you don't dedicate yourself to something, you're never going to get anywhere. So that means you find something, you stick with it, and you don't quit, no matter what happens. If you can't dedicate yourself to that one thing, you're never going to accomplish anything. And it stuck with me. I mean, and honestly, I took that information and I stuck with my job because I had a job for 23 years. That was my career. And prior to that, I started that job at 20. But prior to that, I worked like between 15 and 20. I worked like I'd say like 50 jobs, like 50 jobs. The longest I stuck with the job was like a week.
Mm-hmm.
There was one job that I was at for about 2.5 months, but that was the longest. So I had like 50 jobs between 15 and 20 years old. I was only with them for like a week, a month, something like that, right? And so when he told me that, I said, okay. So I dedicated myself to my job. I dedicated myself to my education. I dedicated myself to my kids, to my wife. And I look at where I'm at today. After so many years of dedication, it actually paid off.
Ooh, Michael, that's very interesting. I had a thought today, bro, and I don't know why I started thinking this, but I was actually thinking, I'm like, okay, I've been doing this for like 2.5 years. I've been consistent for 2.5 years. I'm seeing the numbers going up. I'm seeing the message touching a lot of people. But then I'm like, why why am I doing it? Why am I doing everything that I'm doing? And I really got to dive in deep. I really got to understand like the reason behind the journey. The journey is to prepare you for the success that has yet to come. If you quit before you even start, if you quit as you're starting, if you quit when things get difficult, you will never be the person that you need to become in order to handle everything that's presented to you. So then
Exactly.
I really got to like diving deep within myself. I'm like, oh, okay, that make a lot of sense. I have the knowledge, I have the education, I have the confidence, but do I have the consistency? Do I have the patience? Do I have the understanding of why I'm doing things today to prepare for years to come? Yes, to answer that question, yes, because I understand the end goal is bigger than today. Your end goal is bigger than a couple years ago because you really had to restructure yourself to become a man to accept everything that you have been through. 50 jobs from 15 to 20, that is a lot of jobs, first off. That is a lot of jobs.
Embarrassed about that. I'm embarrassed about that. I'm not happy about that statistic. Trust me. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot. But that's the thing is, I look at it like now. I mean, because I'm saying all this, don't think that there's never times where I just feel like quitting.
Yep.
I still, even until this day, there are times I say, you know what, why am I even doing this? I should just give up. Even with like the wholesaling business that I told you I started up. I thought even when I started, I was thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing? And you look at the time that it takes, the money that it takes, the startup costs, the effort. It's like, I mean, and then and again, you don't always know where you're going when you start. It's foggy, right? And you don't always know where you're going. But if you don't start and you don't stay on that path, then you're never going to get anywhere. But it's not like if I don't ever feel like I want to quit. Trust me, there's many times I feel like I want to quit. But the thing is, and like you said, you go through, disappointments, trials, tribulations, failures, challenges when you start something. And that's prior to you getting to the end point. I look at it like this because the Lord God is never going to bless you with something you're not prepared for, right?
Ooh.
And so when you start something and you want something, you know, maybe you're not ready for it, right? And then so God's going to say, okay, you're going to start this, but you're going to go through all of these challenges so that you can become who you need to become, right? So that you're prepared to receive the success, right?
Mm,
Maybe you're not ready
mm,
for the success. So God's never going to give you anything that you're not prepared for, whether it's good or bad. God's never going to put you in a bad situation that you can't handle. And God's never going to give you the success that you can't handle,
mm,
right? So God's always going to put you in a situation that's going to prepare you for what He's about to give you. You
mm,
know,
mm, mm. Now I like to use this analogy. So you know how Excuse me. You ever play sports?
Yeah, I played football in high school. I played baseball and minor league as a kid.
Okay. Okay. So you had a coach in your life.
Hmm.
Okay. This analogy that I like to use: God is always with us, but He's given us the playbook for us to learn. But as we go in the field, it's up to us to make the mistake in order to make the play, in order to do things incorrectly. Because God is He's showing us, He's preparing us, like you just said, for this next play. Well, how can we be prepared for the next play if we never step foot into the first play? Right. So God is coaching us through life, but it's the action that really prepare us to show us what He's preparing us for.
There's a that's so true because if you remember playing football, you played football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beginning
Yes,
of the
sir.
season, your coach gives you a playbook, and you got to study the playbook, right? If you don't study the playbook, you can't get on the field and perform the plays. You don't know what your job is, right? So same thing with life. There's ways that God gives us the information that we need. I mean, first of all, you have a Bible, and the acronym Bible stands for Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth, right? So everything you need to know is in the Bible, right? All you got to do is read it and study it, right? So, and then if you look at, thoughts that enter your mind, I mean, I watch motivational videos, Earl Nightingale, Jim Rohn. I keep forgetting the other dude's name, but I love him. The
Zig
guy that was
Ziglar, Brian Tracy.
Zig, no, who's the guy that was the radio host? The
Les Brown.
I love that guy. He's my
Les Brown.
favorite. That's the one I started with. I loved his story. I'm gonna go off our topic for a minute, but I love his story where he wanted to be the radio jockey for such a long period of time. He went to the radio station and said, "I want to be a jockey," and the boss told him, "No, you're not going to be a jockey, but I'll let you work here." So then there was that point in time where the jockey who was on air got so drunk he couldn't finish the radio show. And then the boss called Les Brown and said, "I need you to find me a jockey. This guy can't handle this. can't finish the show." So what did he do? He didn't call other jockeys, right? He played it to his favor, and then he called the boss and said, "Hey, nobody else is available. I'm gonna get in there." And he went in there and took over the
You
radio
forgot
show.
one part. You forgot one part.
What is it?
He called his mom. Was like, "Mama, I'm about to go on air." he
Get on the radio.
he waited a couple minutes, and he was like, "Sir, I couldn't find nobody." He didn't even call nobody.
That was see, and see, and that's the thing is, I mean, back to what I was saying. The thing is that, God talks to us in multiple ways. He gives us signs. I think, when you're sleeping, I mean, the thought enters your mind. I think that's God speaking to you. You know what I mean? I mean, if you Terrell, you have the drive to start the podcast. You wrote a book. These are all thoughts that entered your mind. They all started with thoughts, right? And if God puts that thought in your mind, then you act on it, right? So that's all God speaking to you. You have a conscience. And I personally feel that that conscience is God speaking to you. Do this, do that. We don't always listen, right? And it gets us into trouble, but I think that's God speaking to us,
Mhm,
right? So, God is always there coaching us one way or another. You got the Bible, you got your conscience, you got hidden messages. I tell you, I don't know how many times I was sleeping there, had a dream, woke up, and I was like, whoa, you know, and that's God talking to us,
mhm.
So,
Cause it's very ironic. You know how we can have. Let's just use our conversation as an example. The next conversation that we get into, they're going to be saying things that we heard here. But oftentimes, when you first hear it, it's confusing. It's like, was you just in my conversation? How you know we just talked about this? How do you even understand? Like it's the exact same topic, but it's different wording and from somebody else, somebody different. But then as it continued to happen, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not no accident. This is not a coincidence. This is actually happening, so I can understand more that I didn't understand in the first place. You can't understand every lesson that's being presented to you here. You just can't. I'm boxing right now, and yesterday we were sparring, and so I'm hitting. This one dude hit me with the same move 6 times. I said, bro, what am I doing? How you hit me at the same spot every time? He said, bro, you dropping your hands. I said, what you mean? He said, every time you move and you drop it, he's like, okay. I flinch and then come up. I'm like, you did that 6 times. The first time he rocked me. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. Then I got to really ask the question, okay, how do you fix this? You need to keep your hands up while you're moving. You know what I mean? And then I got to learn. I'm like, okay, I needed to get hit 6 times for me to feel first what this feel like. Okay, it didn't feel good. It didn't feel
Sure
good.
did.
Next thing I've learned to understand fundamentals. We can't do things if we don't understand the basics, right? The next thing I've learned was that you can take a hit, but the hit in the analogy for life is that you have to fail in order to get back up, in order to keep progressing. But you can't progress if you never get hit. I can't progress if I
Mhm.
never put my hand down, because
Yeah.
obviously I'm doing something right. We
Yeah.
we're not perfect. We're not perfect, and it takes you 6 times. It took me 6 times for that man to hit me 6 times to understand what I was doing wrong. But oftentimes we need that to see what did we do incorrectly in order to be here today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's the beauty of knowledge, wisdom. I mean, you when you get hit, you have to change things up. You understand that you have to pivot, you've got to shift, you've got to make some kind of change, right? It's and the way it was explained to me, it's another thing that I was told when I was a young man. It really stuck with me all my life. Is if you're walking straight and you bump into a wall, are you gonna continue walking in that same direction? All you're gonna do is continue bumping into that wall, right? So if you're walking, you bump into a wall, change directions, right? So that applies to everything you're doing in life. If you're doing something, right, and it's not working out, don't give up. Just change your direction, change things, right? Do something different, right? I mean that leads into something else I heard today. It was what was it? If you expect to get something different, you got to do something different. If you
Jim
expect
Rohn.
to, Jim Rohn, if you want to get something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done, right? It's the way life goes, man. That's the way life goes. The beauty of it, but see, the beauty of it though is that I think, and what I really admire about you is that it takes courage, it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes a lot. The list goes on about what it takes to just start something, right? Because you're putting yourself out there, you're exposing yourself, you're not when you start, you're not exposing yourself to success, you're exposing yourself to failure, you're exposing yourself to challenges, you're exposing yourself to criticism, you're exposing yourself to all these negative things that you're going to experience all of these things. But in order for you to get to that successful point, to accomplish that goal, you have to get through all these trials and tribulations and challenges and criticisms and everything else that you're going to experience. It's a part of the journey,
Mm,
right? But I mean, it's something you're going to have to go through if you want to accomplish your goal.
mhm,
How motivated are you? you know and your drive is going to determine if you're going to start, and then your perseverance is going to determine whether you continue on. I mean, you are definitely everything I've done in life. And what I didn't realize as a young man is that I was going to feel like that every time I try something new, I should be good at it. If I'm not good at it, then I shouldn't be doing it. But no, that's not the case, right? That's not the case.
mhm.
Everything you do, you're not going to be good at first. You have to consistently do it so that you can get better at it. I was watching another thing this morning of Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was talking about how when he was 10 years old, he was on a basketball team, and in one game or one season, he didn't make one shot. He couldn't make a layup. He couldn't get in a lucky shot. He couldn't make a free throw. He couldn't do a jump shot. Nothing. He made nothing. He said, but his father came to him and said, "Son, I don't care if you score 0 points or 60 points. I love you regardless." And so what he did after that was he understood that there's a long journey ahead of him, But he said, okay, I got to start off with one aspect of my game, and he worked that aspect and worked that aspect. He said the next season he came back and he was a little bit better. And then he went out and he focused on another aspect of his game. And the next season he came back and he got better. And then before he knew it, he was just dominating on the court. You know,
Mhm.
and so that's just the way it goes. You know, and that's one thing I had to learn in life. What I had to learn in life is that I'm going to start something and it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy, and I'm not going to understand the mess. I'm not going to understand. It's like pieces, like a puzzle, right? You start a puzzle pieces all over the place. Where do these pieces even go, right? But if you focus on it, you don't give up. You start to understand which ones fit together, and all of a sudden you have a complete puzzle, a complete picture, right?
Mm.
So that's one thing that I had to learn as well, is that I mean, when I start something, it's not going to be perfect. I'm not going to be good at everything I start, but if I truly want to be successful at it, I have to continue on and continue on and continue on. It's like the title of your book and your branding. Failure is knowledge. And so when you start something, you're not going to be good at it, but if you're persistent with it and you want it bad enough, you continue working at it and working at it and working at it, and the failures that you experience are going to give you the knowledge to succeed. Yeah.
That man, I appreciate you for saying that. I greatly admire your wisdom and your recognition, because that is so powerful. That I really love the fact that you said everything that you do, you're not gonna be good
Mhm. Yeah.
at. Us in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the examples that you're using are so profound because it fits with our everyday life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just because we're not good at it doesn't mean we should not do it. You
Well, you look at just the basics of life, right? Who doesn't want to get married? Who doesn't want to have a companion, right? But let me ask you this. I mean, you have been in relationships, right? I don't know your relationship history. We've all been in relationships. Did your first relationship work out? Was it perfect? No, but you got into it, right? And
Mhm.
you went through it. You made mistakes. You figured it out. And I don't know. I mean, it failed or it continued on, but you weren't good at it at first, but Jay, deep down inside of you, you said, I want a companion. And I don't care what your recommendation is, or whatever, but you want a companion, right?
Mhm.
And if you want that companion, you're going to find it and try it, and most likely when you're a young man and you don't know, because see, the thing is, when you're a young man and you don't know how to keep your hormones in check, and there's all this temptation. I was watching a movie just the other day. I was watching George Foreman, that new movie that came out about George Foreman, and he got married at a young age, and then this pretty girl came around, and she tempted him, and he cheated on his wife with that woman, and then other women, and then his wife found out, and then they ended up in divorce, right? And so that's the thing that happens to us as young men, is we don't know how to control our feelings or our hormones. And once we have something good at home, but then here comes in something else that's like, oh my gosh, look at this, and you get caught up in that, then you ruin with the good thing you have at home, right? That's a mistake. And I'm going to tell you, you tell me one man that hasn't cheated.
I haven't cheated.
You never cheated. You've
But I
never
did get a
cheated.
divorce. I did go through a divorce though.
Well,
Yeah,
you never cheated in
I
any
have.
of your relationships. Now,
No,
now you're married, okay? But now you're married. But none of your relationships.
I
Well,
don't
okay.
cheat. When I'm committed to a person, I'm committed. You know what I mean? Because
Wow.
now, don't get me wrong. Temptation is here, but you have a
Okay.
choice to entertain the temptation. You know what I mean? So, my relationship now, I ain't cheating because I wouldn't want her to cheat on me. We gonna separate. If we gonna separate, it ain't gonna be because of cheating. Nuh-uh.
Well, I tell you, you know what? But I tell you, you know what? That's the thing, is that I mean, now I think you're one of the few,
Hmm.
because there's just so many men I know that have made that mistake and fall into that temptation, and I mean, the consequences that they have to suffer, I mean, really teaches them the lesson that, what I mean, what I built with my wife isn't worth that 5 minutes of excitement or whatever it is that's being offered on the side, outside of my relationship. You know what I mean? But you are definitely one of a kind. So I truly admire you for that, sir.
I appreciate it, Mike. I appreciate
But
it.
hey, going back to the point though, right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's like, everybody wants a companion in life. Nobody wants to be alone and single, right? And so you're not going, because you don't know how a relationship works, you're not going to not try. I don't know where you grew up and how you grew up, but I mean, in my life, what I've seen is a lot of broken homes, a lot of broken marriages, a lot of broken families. That's what I saw growing up as a kid. So, when you see that as a child, that's really all you know.
Hmm.
You don't know how to build a long lasting, loving relationship, and that's something that, if you truly want that, then you're going to have to learn,
Ooh,
and
I was, ooh.
that's yeah, that's what I had to go through. I had to go through all that to learn. I say, hey, like you said, cheating, it's not right. Once you commit yourself to somebody, then that's a commitment that you chose to make. And that's your partner, that's your teammate. Now what you're doing is going behind your teammates, your partner's back. How are you ever going to? You look at a back. The way it was explained to me is like this. The way it was explained to me is like this: is that you are the president of the company. Your wife is the vice president of the company, and your kids are the chairman on the board, right? The chairman of the board. So you, as a vice president, are going to consult with the vice president, your wife, and then you guys are going to make an agreement on how to proceed, make a decision, and then you're going to inform your children, who are the board members of the company, right? And then everybody's buying into the idea. Now, you as the president, if you go behind the vice president's back and the board members back and do something, against or not without consulting with them and something that they wouldn't agree on, now you're just ruining the success of your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You apply that to your family, right? And it's something. This is another thing that I had to learn.
Mm.
Another thing that I had to learn. I had to learn it. I had to learn it the hard way. My grandma used to tell me, like I told you last time, my grandma used to tell me, you got to feel it on your skin. You got to
Yeah,
feel
I
it on.
like
I was
that.
the same. Until this day, I'm 43 years old, and I still catch myself. I mean, and I'm not going to say when it comes to women, I've learned a lesson, but in life, I always seem to move towards the heat. There's a fire. I always seem to move towards the heat. And I catch myself. But I guess it's just in my nature. You
Hmm.
know, but trust me, I've learned. I'm not gonna get burned.
You ain't gonna feel it on your skin no more.
I've had third-degree burns in various parts of my body. Trust me.
and I thank you for sharing it. Thank you for being vulnerable with me as well, because oftentimes, we all go through life. We all go through different experiences. The way I grew up was a single parent household. So I didn't know what a relationship was. I didn't know how to understand my wife. I didn't know how to be a good man and a good spouse for my wife. I didn't know that. I didn't even know I needed to love myself in order to love her correctly. But I did the best I could. But when a divorce, when it started, I learned so much in compressed time. It was so crazy that I even learned that quickly, because it put me in depression. It put me in a phase where, like, I don't want to be lonely for the rest of my life. I do not. What did I do wrong? What did I learn? What did I know about relationship? How was I even prepared? No, I wasn't. So I'm like, okay, how can I change this? How can, for my next relationship, how can it be better than this one? I need to learn. I need to ask questions. I need to get uncomfortable with asking hard questions. So every couple that I came around that was either together for like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30, 40, 50 years, etc., right? I'm asking, what is the secret? How are y'all able to stay together that long? They tell me communication. I'm like, okay, every couple I came encounter with is communication. Is communication? No, 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 no. Okay, there's something else here. There's something else here. But in reality, that's what it is. But they said communication, but the deeper understanding is, how can you communicate with yourself in order to communicate with this person? Because oftentimes we want the next person to read our minds. No, it doesn't happen like that. Then I really got deep with it. I really started learning more. Okay, communication, communication, communication. Okay, what exactly about communication is so special? You know how to understand your partner and communicate with them at the language and tone that they will understand it. You're able to meet with them where they are at. Rather than talking down on them, you talking with them to get a better understanding. So I'm like, oh, okay, this communication, it is the secret. But if you're not reading between the lines, you're gonna miss so many lessons that's right there in that one form of communication. You're not gonna learn how to have a. You're not gonna learn how to be relation. You're not gonna learn how to have a relationship. Michael, I had to learn how to be a man, bro. Do you know that was the most difficult thing that I ever had to do?
Yeah.
That was so hard. The the woman I'm talking to now, I want to say this my girlfriend, my life partner. I'm gonna say this my life partner. She's the complete. She's me, but she's me, but the woman version. Okay, and it's so special because I prepared to have someone like this, right? And now when I start to really understand why this was happening, because of the back end work, because of all these questions I be asked, all these conversations I'm in, all these all the answers that I'm receiving from different people, from different ages, from different ethnicities, and it's so special. I'm like, okay, they got an understanding. They got an understanding. This couple over here got an understanding too. Every couple I come encounter with, they have an understanding because both the man and the woman value each other. So I'm like, oh, noted, appreciate it, noted.
Well, there's a couple things. There's a couple things I want to point out. The first thing I want to point out is, I admire your level of responsibility acceptance. Your level of accepting responsibility because in any situation that we're in, I look at it like this. I hold myself to the standard of any situation that I'm in, regardless of what goes wrong. I've always got to look at myself first and say, what could I have done different to change the outcome or have a different outcome, right? I
Mhm.
mean, and I don't, and when you sit there and you say, well, it failed because of this or because of that person or they did this and that and this and that, you're not going to get anywhere, regardless of what anybody else does or whatever happens. You look at yourself and say, well, what could I have done better, right? And even if what you could have done better would not have made it successful, you still look at what could I have done better because the next time around, I'm not going to do those things again, right? And hopefully it will be successful and it will be better. It'll be better, you know. And I think that's the thing too is because I mean, you look at like you talk about like you were in a relationship and you thought how can you love somebody if you don't love yourself. That was one of the biggest things that was one of the biggest things growing up for me is that I didn't love myself. I didn't
Mm.
like myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself. I actually tried to commit suicide when I was, I think, 20 years old. Right? It was obviously an unsuccessful attempt. Right? No, not something I'm
God,
going to learn my lessons from to go back and do it properly.
I
Right?
hope not. I will hope not.
But I mean, I think that was the thing. I mean, now you look at, okay, so I had children at 18. I had twins at 18.
Hmm.
I tried to commit suicide at 20, right? And then at 20, after I tried to commit suicide, I had a third kid, right? And I was married. I got married shortly after I tried to commit suicide, right? And so here I am taking on all this responsibility. Hey, you there?
Hold on, my thing just shut down. Hold on, my camera just shut down. Hold on, I'm joining you right now. All right, you see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on my computer. My camera just got hot. But yeah, I'm here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I'm good. Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear
okay.
you. But no, so I had all this response. That's one of the things is I mean when you talk about I mean my mentality today, you know um, it stems from a lot of adversity. I mean, I was 18 years old, 20 years old. I had three kids. I was married. And I didn't even like myself.
Hmm.
If I don't like myself, how can I love my wife? How can I love my kids? And it was difficult. So all of those trials and tribulations that I went through in life, it taught me to be who I am today, and I love myself now. I love myself. I think God has really blessed me. I mean, I look at myself, I'm not going to boast on myself or brag, but I think I'm a very intelligent person. I'm pretty good looking. I've got a good personality. I've accomplished some things in life. So God has actually blessed me. So I love myself. As a young man, I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. And so how can I love my wife and how can I love my kids if I don't even like myself? And
Mhm.
unfortunately, that I was responsible for, they suffered because I didn't like myself. And that's one of the things that you or people have to understand is that what, regardless of who you are, you need to love yourself. And when you start to love yourself, other people will start to love you as well. It's manifestation.
Mhm.
What you think is what's gonna come. Is what's gonna happen. What you think of yourself, other people are starting to think the same thing of you. you know but if you present yourself as a person that, hey, I love myself, I'm confident in myself, that's where confidence stems from. Confidence stems from the fact that, hey, I love myself, I love who I am. And then when you go out, you love who you are, you love what you are, you love what you're doing, and then you go out in life, and that portrays confidence to other people, and then they attract towards you because of it.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
important. And so, the thing is, like you said, you were in a relationship, and you didn't cheat, but you know that you made mistakes. You accepted responsibility. You looked for the things that you did wrong, and you changed them. And I'm going to tell you, in a marriage, I don't care, what it is or what went wrong. It's always two people, right? So it takes two to make it work and two to break it apart.
Mhm.
So there's always, you did something, she did something, right? But you always look at yourself and say, okay, what did I do wrong, and what do I need to change so the second time around it's successful?
Mhm.
you know so, yeah, very, very important. There's many, many, many lessons that I've learned. I mean, I got to tell you, in marriage and fatherhood, I've learned so many lessons. I look at my kids now and I say, you know what, thank God that they are who they are, because I mean, I'm like, it's a blessing. you know and I
Yeah.
think I think I think that's one of the things too. I mean, because I had a hard life as a child. I had a really hard life. Excuse me. I had a really hard life as a child. I was alone. I really had nobody. And then, so I think God blessed me with four kids. And a woman that loved me.
Mhm.
We didn't know what love is. We didn't know what love is. We didn't know how to love each other. I mean, because like you said, I mean, the thing is that your responsibility as a man is to love her. you
Mhm.
know and it takes effort, it takes time. It takes a lot of courage to love somebody.
Yep.
If you look at, when you're a man, when you're a man, you're the leader of the relationship. You need to take that relationship where it's supposed to go. And how do you do that? By having the courage to express your feelings and being vulnerable to her, right? So when you find you want to, say, for example, you want to propose to her, right? You have to have the courage to say, okay, I'm going to set up all these things. Say you want to do it on the beach. You've got to find the location. You've got to find the time. You've got to find, okay, the ring. You've got to get her there and make sure that she's, happy with the scene and the setting. And then when you drop down to your knee, you have to know the words to say, and that takes courage. It takes courage. So you, as the man, you have the responsibility to show her that you love her, and it takes courage, it takes effort, it takes time, it takes a lot of that stuff.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I appreciate it. That when I do propose, I'm gonna send a picture and send it to you because that's what I'm gonna do.
I want the video. I didn't take a video. Send me the video.
I'm gonna see
I
you.
want to be at your wedding. I want to be at your wedding. All right. I feel like
Yes, sir.
it's gonna be it's gonna be a good relationship for you. The first time around is always, and I always looked at it like that too. I mean, just like everything else, your first time around in a relationship is not gonna be, and that's why I try to, because I went through a lot in my marriage, and and I always try to explain. I say, I always apologize for things that I did wrong, and I say, I mean, it's like riding a bicycle. Did you when you first jumped on a bicycle, did you know how to ride it? Or did you have training wheels and you had to, somebody had to guide you and help you out and explain it to you, and you had to fall off your bike and scrape your knee, and and then keep trying and keep trying and keep trying until you got it right. Right. So
Mhm.
it's marriage and relationships is just like everything else. When you first start, it's not going to be perfect, and it's going to be bumpy, and you're going to make mistakes. So my thing is always, hey, I'm sorry for the mistakes that I made. But I got started at a young age. I didn't know what I was doing. I made so many mistakes, and I apologize for that. but I was learning how to ride a bicycle.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so I kick myself in the butt for a lot of the mistakes that I made. But at the same time, I look back at it and I say, you know what? I mean, I was inexperienced. You know, I was young. You know, and I just didn't know what I was doing. You
And
know,
you needed to go through that in order to be the man that you are today. And and,
right?
and Michael, you are a phenomenal man. You know what I mean? You are a phenomenal man. Good looking too. How old are you? About 31? Would you say 31?
Yeah, all right. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, I don't like to look at myself as, you know, I'm phenomenal or extraordinary or I'm super successful or I'm any of those kind of things. I just look at myself as being a human being, you know, that God has blessed. And, you know, I'm average, you know, I'm just like everybody else. I'm just like everybody else, you know, I mean, I'm, I'm, I'm not smarter than I'm not smarter. I'm not, you know, better looking or stronger or, you know, any of that kind of thing. I'm just an average human being here on earth, you know, trying to do my best just like everybody else, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the compliment.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you receiving that compliment because I know it's hard. I know you're the one used to giving out the blessings, but it's okay to receive the blessings back to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So got it's a book, Go Giver. I definitely recommend it. If you haven't read it, Go Giver,
Go giver.
Go Giver.
Go.
Gogiver. Go Giver.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely recommend. Definitely recommend. Michael, before we end, I know you stated that you're in real estate. How can people work with you? And then after you explain how people can work with you, we got one more segment after this.
Okay. How can people work with me? I mean, if people want to buy property, sell property, I think that's you know, or even looking at and I'll be honest with you, not just in that aspect. I mean, I think like this: if anybody needs advice or needs help or you know anything that I can any kind of helping hand that I can lend in real estate, you know, I'm willing to do it. And to be honest with you, it's not even about working with me. It's about you know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I look at life like this now. You know, I'm a servant. You know, I'm a servant. What can I do to help you? You
Hmm.
know, you know, what goes around comes around. And you know, when I can give somebody knowledge or you know help somebody accomplish a goal, whatever I can do to help people, I'm willing to do that. So, you know, regardless of what it is, if anybody has any real estate needs, I mean, has any questions, or somebody wants to get a real estate license, or somebody wants to start a wholesaling business, or get involved in wholesaling, or whatever, you know, they can contact me. I'm more than willing to help them out, and I'm not going to charge anybody for anything. I mean, of course, you know, I mean, if there's, you know, I mean, there are times where I have to get a commission. But you know, I mean, whatever I can do to help people out, that's my bottom line. I've made a goal. I'm going to tell you this. I've set out in life. I've set out in life to be a servant. You know, my goal now in days is to touch everybody that I come across in a positive way. You know, and I can't give everybody that I meet everything or you know a lot, but if I can touch somebody with a simple smile or a hello, how are you? You know, then and it's positive. That's what I set out to do. You know, so if anybody, you know, if anybody needs anything, call me. You know, whatever I can do to help people out, I'm more than willing.
Man, Michael. So that is powerful. I always say when I pray at night, I ask God to use me as a prophet to bless other people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We're serving others to help them believe in themselves. And I definitely appreciate it. So last segment is called Best for Last. I asked four questions. I asked four questions. Wait. I asked four last questions towards the end, and it has to be a quick explanation with the a quick explanation with quick explanation. So first question: what are you grateful for?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What are you grateful for?
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for my family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for my kids, my
Mm-hmm.
grandkids, my wife. You know, I'm grateful for all of those things. I'll be honest with you. like I said, as a child, I was alone, and God blessed me with people, and though I didn't know how to handle it, God gave it to me, and that's one of the reasons that I am who I am today is because God blessed me with a family at such a young age.
Mm, that's beautiful. Wow, that was beautifully said. Next question: what do you regret?
What do I regret? What I regret would probably have to be not maturing at a younger age.
Mm,
I always look at myself like I'm a late bloomer. I mean, here I am, 43 years old, and there are things that I'm doing now that I'm like, man, why didn't I do this when I was young? But I look at myself as a late bloomer, so I would have to say one of my biggest regrets is not maturing younger.
and you are maturing at the perfect time. You matured at the perfect time. You know what I mean? Never too late. Never too late. Uh, third question: how do you keep your composure or remain calm?
I think that comes through experience. I know that I think and this is what I'm talking about, me being a late bloomer and maturing at a late age, because up until I think maybe like mid last year, and when I really started to make some positive changes in my life. I always look at like, okay, I'm going to go into situations regardless of what happens. I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to keep my composure because I I set my goal to be a role model, and I'm a role model through my actions. So if I can't keep my composure through any situation, why would anybody want to look at me like I'm a role model, want to be like me? How can I positively touch people? Not only the person that I'm not being patient and calm with, but everybody who sees me not being patient and calm. Another thing you asked me earlier. What are some of the statements that stood out to me? One thing that stood out to me is you'll never be successful if you can't operate in chaos. You know,
Mm.
Successful men know how to operate in chaos. The world could be falling apart around you, but you stay calm and maintain your composure.
Ooh. Okay.
That one hit me hard in the
Yeah.
heart. Hit me hard. That
Say it
one hit me
again.
hard. You'll ne- you you'll never be you you'll never be successful if you can't operate in chaos. To be
Yeah.
successful, you have to understand how to operate in chaos, how to remain calm in chaos. Right? So
Mm.
regardless, and that's a true statement in life. I mean, I'm sure you've heard it's not about what happens to you; it's about how you respond, right? Because there's chaos. Your life is going to go through chaotic periods of time. I don't care who you are. We all go through the same thing at a certain period of time in your life. Your life is going to be in chaos. Life is a roller coaster, right? You have calm, good times, then you have chaotic, crazy times, right? Bad times, calm, chaotic times, and you have to understand how to remain calm through all of it. Whether the good times, the bad times, the chaotic times, you got to remain calm. You
Ooh.
know.
That's powerful. I'm gonna use that one. I'm gonna use that one. And then last but not least, favorite question. What does failure is knowledge means to you?
Failure is knowledge means to me that when things don't go your way, there's a lesson to be learned, and it's your responsibility to accept the responsibility of understanding, you know, what went wrong or what you did wrong, so that you can change it next time around. You can make the changes that you need to make, the changes you need to make, because there's knowledge in failure, there's knowledge in success, there's knowledge in everything you do in life, right? So when you fail, you you look at your failure and you say, okay, what went wrong? What happened? So next time around, hey, I'm not going to do that again. I need to avoid that action, or create another type of action that is opposite of the action I took last time or previous time,
Mm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So knowledge is failure is exactly what it says. When you fail, there's a lesson to be learned.
Ooh, that was ooh. Oh, Michael, you man, you gave some great information, some great wisdom, some great. It was just a great conversation overall. You mentioned how people can work with you, but how can people connect with you? How can they find you? How can they follow you and things of that nature?
Well, my Instagram account. Let me see here. You can follow me on Instagram at Michael Ruiz space real estate agent. Michael Ruiz, Ruiz, is one word. Second word is real estate agent. No spaces. You can find me on Instagram there. Um, Follow me there. I mean, you can. I mean, I'm open. I'm an open book. You can call me. Phone number 626-498-7781. I don't mind. You know. So
There you have it. There you have it, Michael. Man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. Hold on, I'm about to stop recording. If y'all really got value from this, make sure you share this with 3 people. Make sure you like it and leave a comment down below how it really helped you in your life. We appreciate y'all.